Jazz hands.
Jazz hands again.
Hi guys. Welcome back.
Hey, hey.
Hey, Laura, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm waking up. I'm going to be there. It's good. It's happening.
I'm waking up. Oh, good. Because it's 10:30 at night where I live, when we're recording.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry,
It,
10:41.
it's been a long day, but I'm
Actually, you know
ready.
what? Now that I think about it, I haven't even had dinner yet.
I don't know
Oh,
if it's called dinner anymore, if it's 10 o'clock at night.
it's called midnight snack.
Yeah, I think that's where you're at. You're drinking wine, though, so that's like food,
Listen, I'm drinking grape juice.
right? It's fruit.
It's fruit
You're
juice.
having fruit.
Yes. Hi guys, welcome back to a new episode of History of a Haunting. We're going to Scotland today, and we're very excited about that. Shout out to Rick McCallum, who gave us the location suggestion back when we interviewed him on the show, and then Ecam screwed up the entire episode, and now we have to have him back on the show to completely redo his interview. So fortunately, he's a lovely man, Laura, and he's super happy. You weren't actually able to be on
Right.
with the interview, so fortunately everything was happened the way it was meant to in a shit show, which is this podcast.
So really, it's all just so that I can be part of it.
Really, you
Mhm.
and your weaving of your magic so that you can. He's a very wonderful man, and he is the one of the co-founders of the Hollywood Ghost Hunters. Him and Kane Hodder, who is Jason Voorhees. He's a former Hollywood stuntman, and yeah, Rick is a really cool guy. So we're going to be having him back on the show in the beginning of next year, I'm hoping. But yeah, he gave us this location suggestion because he's an honorary member of one of the most prolific paranormal teams in Scotland. So don't have any EVPs for you guys. Laura, do you have anything to chat at them about?
No, that is my crazy kid. That's all.
Yeah, okay. We couldn't hear him. So I was like, what
Oh,
is
I just heard this high-pitched, like, sound coming from afar. I thought it got picked up on it was just, "Ee." I'm like, "Oh my god, what is he
I
doing?"
literally no, we can't. I couldn't hear you at all, and I thought, is she falling asleep? What is Laura?
No.
Hello.
No, no, no. I'm
Okay.
good, thank you, okay.
Okay. Yeah. So, guys, we are going to be taking us to Scotland, and there has been a little bit of confusion between Laura and I if it's Balgonie House or Balgonie Castle. Turns out it's Balgonie Castle. Laura was like, "Bitch, what are you talking about? There's no house." I'm like, "I don't know."
No, there is a house, and it's for sale,
Oh,
but it's not the same place.
okay. All right. All
I'm
right.
like, "Are we buying a house? What the fuck is happening?" Like, I
In
don't think this
Scotland,
place is
yes.
haunted.
That's our
I'm
EVP.
in
We're buying a house in
if we can
Scotland,
do
Laura and
that.
I. It's
I'm
gonna be great.
down, but
Um, anyway, Balgonie Castle is what we're covering today. So welcome. Um, Laura, if you want to go ahead and kick it off with your sources.
yes, I would love to. So my sources are wikipedia.com, TripAdvisor, and electricscotland.com.
Ooh, okay, cool. TripAdvisor.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Reviews?
No, but
Oh,
they do. I don't want to give it away,
okay,
but
sorry. I'll shut up.
but it's like they have reopened it, so there's just
Oh, neat.
extra
Okay,
stuff.
that's right.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Um, all right. So the origins of Balgonie Castle are lost in the mists of time, as the area has been inhabited for the past 8,000 years.
For a minute or two.
Yeah, just a hot minute.
Cool. All right, so we're
Right.
going real old. Gotcha.
Right. So I have a little bit of information for you.
Okay.
So just a scotch. All right. Balgonie is situated on the border between the Pictish kingdoms of Fife and Forthriff. The castle is built on the south bank of the winding River Leven, which flows through Loch Leven, where Mary, Queen of Scots, was imprisoned,
Okay.
to the Burg of Leven and the Firth of Forth. Or
I'm
as
sorry, the Firth of Forth.
listen, it's Scotland, okay?
Okay, sorry.
or as we could say, 2 miles east of what is now Fife, Scotland.
There you go. Okay, let's dumb it down for the Americans.
I just thought that whole thing was very fun. All right. So, like, because if that's your address, like, that's pretty cool. Um, where can you find me?
The Firth of Forth.
The Firth of Forth on the winding River Leven. The castle keep, which is the fortified tower,
Mm.
dates from the 14th century, and the remaining structures were added piecemeal until the 18th century.
Wow.
Um,
Okay.
the keep has been recently restored, although other parts of the castle are still roofless ruins.
Ooh.
Balgonie, excepting the tower, which is used for residential purposes, is a scheduled ancient monument. Um,
Is that like a National Historic
yeah,
Landmark
yeah,
for?
basically.
Okay. All right.
But ancient. Okay. None of
Super,
this
super ancient.
200-year-old bullshit like we got over here. Um,
Historic.
right.
200 years.
The
Okay.
first recorded lairds of Balgonie were the Sebald family. And for all the stuff I mispronounce, sorry, Scotland. They would
Please
have
still
been,
welcome us with open arms when we come there.
yes, I do love Scotland. They would have been responsible for law and order throughout the northeast of Fife. It is unknown when they gained Balgonie, but the name Balgonie means settlement of the smiths. So the picks of this area were renowned for their silver work. Um,
Silver, did you say
silver
civil
work,
work or
silver,
silver work?
silver making.
Silver. Okay. Sorry.
So the oldest part is the Great Tower, as I said before, and
Right.
it is built of finely cut ashlar, which was quarried nearby. And the sheer quality of the masonry, together with a lack of decoration, would point to the construction of the tower being sometime around 1300. Um,
Wow. Okay.
all right. The tower is officially accepted as the oldest complete tower standing in Fife and one of the oldest in Scotland.
Oh my
Um,
God.
the tower is on 5 floors, rising to a height of 75 feet. The ground floor is barrel vaulted, making it fireproof with walls up to 10.5 feet thick. And this
Casual.
is right. Yeah. I mean, totally cool. And this room was originally used to store food. Um,
Mm,
This would have been the heart of the castle where everyone ate, seated in a strict order of precedence, where
sure.
entertained, where guests were received, where the laird's court was held, and where the servants would have slept. And usually there is no built in fireplace in this room. So the fire would have originally been in the center of the floor.
Okay.
Crazy, huh? So the
Yeah.
next
I
floor
kind
up,
of dig it though.
yeah, is the Laird's Hall, which would have been the main room that the family would have lived in.
Gotcha.
Um, So there's very little record of the early activities of the Sebald family, though there is a possibility that one or more of the family were Knights Templar.
Ooh.
The
Okay.
arms of Sebald of Balgonie are almost identical to the Templar temple arms, differenced by a square hole in the center of the cross. So there are also many sites around Balgonie that have temple in their name. So these
Mm.
sites must have belonged to the temple at one time.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah, kind of neat.
I
So the
like
home
it.
was Yeah, the home was passed to Sir Robert London in the late 1400s. Sir Robert managed to find the time to modernize and enlarge Balgonie. He was responsible for building the house that forms the North Range. So we know that this work was completed in 1496 because on the 20th of August of that year, King James IV visited Balgonie. The king was so impressed by the work that he gave the masons 18 shillings, which is roughly £500 in today's money. Uh,
Wow. Slow
right.
down, King. I mean,
That's a big
don't
tech.
give away the entire dowry.
So this building incorporates an earlier corner tower, which in turn incorporates the chapel. So one interesting feature is that one has to step down into the chapel. This is indicative of an early Christian structure, which could in turn indicate that this, like the beginnings of it, date from the 13th century or earlier.
Right.
So there were 9 London lards. This is super fun, these words, of Balgonie. And during their period, the castle was extended to the size it is today, covering about 1 acre. The East Range was added to provide family accommodation. A 21-foot high Barmkin wall encloses the courtyard. There is a gatehouse in the southwest corner, which would have originally had a drawbridge over a dry ditch, possibly 15 feet deep. So they had a moat.
I
mean,
love the idea of a moat. Listen, guys, I forgot to do like the overlays and stuff for this, but I really, as Laura's talking, I'm like, you know what? We'll put them on our social media. As Laura's talking, like it's really doing a disservice. So I'm going to share my screen and the photos that I have as she talks.
All right,
So
perfect.
hopefully this works.
All right, so the gatehouse was modernized in the 17th century. The ditch was filled in, moat, and I just want everything to have a moat.
You just want a moat.
I do. And a new round tower was added to the front of the gatehouse. There are guard rooms on either side of the gate. The north guard room gives access to the pit prison.
Can you
The
see
prison.
this?
Mhm.
Okay.
So the pit prison, because who doesn't need a pit prison, is 9 feet long by 4 in width. There is no window, but there is the luxury of a built-in toilet, if it can be found in the dark.
Wait a minute. And this is in what year?
Is that
Still in the 14th, 15th
1700s?
century?
Yeah, it kind of goes through what happened as it was built up. So,
Wow,
more in the
it's got a
1700s.
toilet. I'm impressed by that fact. And the moat, of course, Laura.
Yeah, yeah. I
Of
mean,
course.
I don't know if it's a water or toilet, but it's got something. Um, so at this time, Balgonie would have obviously played host to many important people. The records from this time are sparse, but we know that Mary, Queen of Scots, visited Balgonie in 1565. To
Mhm.
commemorate this and the earlier visit of James IV, the family carved a door for the Great Hall bearing the arms of James IV, Mary, Queen of Scots, Lord Darnley, and
Yep.
London of Balgonie.
Yep.
Field Marshal Sir Alexander Leslie of Balgonie was the greatest Scottish soldier of the 17th century. So
Okay.
he was
Well,
born around
1600s now. Okay.
he was born around 1582. Shortly after 1600, Leslie was an officer in the Dutch service. He had clearly made a name for himself because King Gustavus Adolphus of Sweden ordered him a captaincy in the Swedish army. This was the beginning of a career that was to last 30 years. Much of his time was spent fighting in the German states.
Oh, Humphrey has got some things to say. We've
I
missed
think,
Humphrey.
yeah, do we?
I mean, we do. I don't know about you.
Somebody is in their car outside playing
Oh
music.
no. Living their life.
Yeah,
All
there's
right. We're
somebody
gonna look at
parked
Laura's
by my
chest while
house.
she peers
So
out the window.
Emma, you can edit it. All right, they left.
But I'm
Probably
not
because I was
going to.
peering
So
outside their asshole. All right, as we ship her off to the German states. Okay, so he's fighting off in the German states where he never loses a battle. So he earns the nickname Leslie the Great.
okay.
Um, right. So
Right up
when
there with
Leslie,
Catherine.
that's
Not the same?
not the same.
Okay, sorry.
When Leslie retired from Sweden, he knew that he was probably coming back to civil war. So, in lieu of his pension, he brought back 2 field guns and 2,000 muskets. Um, yeah, so instead of taking money when he retired, he just took a bunch of guns. He said, I don't really need the money. Can I just have a bunch of guns?
Okay.
All right.
I
You
don't
okay with
know what
this?
to do
You
with
don't know?
that. Like, it was
Yeah,
that like some sort of like expensive trade back then, or
I guess. Um,
he had a lot of people to kill, Carrie.
he did. He was very busy. He was
Right.
Leslie the Great.
And
So he also negotiated the right to recall Scottish officers from the Swedish army. So in 1639, Leslie was given command of the Scottish Army of the Covenant in what was called the First Bishops' War. So
oh,
great was his reputation that he was able to take Edinburgh Castle without the loss of a drop of blood. He simply put a petard against the main gate, blew it open, and the garrison surrendered.
what's a
Les,
petard?
I don't know. I'm guessing some sort of thing you can blow up. A petard. I had to look up enough stuff.
You're like, Carrie, quit asking me questions. Wow,
Pittsburgh.
that's impressive if he just did
It's
that
a
one thing and
case
they were like,
containing
"All
an
right."
explosive to break down a door or gate or breach a wall. Okay. It was an explosive. Just go with
Okay. Wow.
um
Enough to have them be like, "Fine, here, have it."
yeah, pretty much. Um all right, so then he marched the army south to face the king at Duns on the border. King Charles the first thought that he could bring the English army up and subdue the unruly Scots, but he had misjudged Leslie. The king's undisciplined army lined up and faced a professional army commanded by an experienced officer corps with uniformed regiments. The king realized that he could not win and sued for peace.
He sued.
He did. So
Okay.
this led to the Treaty of Berwick.
Oh, okay.
This event is the basis for the nursery rhyme. Was a crooked man. So it goes, there
Oh,
was
cool.
a
I love
crooked
that.
man and he walked a crooked mile. He found a crooked sixpence against a crooked stile. He bought a crooked cat, which caught a crooked mouse, and they all lived together in a
We're
crooked,
in a little
little
crooked
crooked house.
house.
Yep, there you go.
Okay, I love that.
All right.
I love
So,
I love origins of my favorite nursery rhymes, and that's one of them. Thank
yeah.
you.
Oh, really? Oh, well, good.
Yeah, I love it.
Um, yeah, I just thought that's kind of interesting where this stuff comes from because you hear it and
Kinda,
hear it and hear it and
yeah,
you have
like,
no
it's all
idea.
from, like, actual real life stuff.
Hmm.
Um, we should actually do a episode on nursery rhymes.
We
Now that
should.
you mention it.
The
Okay.
Second Bishop's War occurred in 1640. Leslie marched the Scottish army into the north of England, taking Newcastle upon Tyne. As Leslie then commanded the Scottish army in the English Civil War, entering England with 3,000 horse and 10,000 foot, I'm guessing soldiers. In May 1646, the king surrendered to Leslie, knowing that he would be treated properly.
I'm sorry,
So,
10,000-foot soldiers?
mm, 3,000 horse and 10,000 foot, I'm guessing, 3,000
Oh, so
people.
10,000, like, feet on soldiers, not like 10,000-foot soldiers. I'm
I
like,
don't know.
why did I not hear about this in history?
I do not know.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, so it is on record that they played golf together. Leslie was going to bring the king up to Scotland, but his political masters forced him to hand the king over to Cromwell.
Did you say golf?
Yeah, I said they golfed.
Okay, I mean, I knew that golf originated in Scotland, but I didn't know like that early.
It's been
Wow.
around for a
Oliver
minute.
Cromwell then?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So he was so appalled at this intervention that he tried to resign from the Scottish army, but his resignation was refused. So he returned to Scotland. In 1650, the Scottish army sided with Charles II. Leslie had like a nominal command of the army, but um, it was the intervention of the political and religious masters of the army that led to the defeat at the Battle of Dunbar.
Okay.
So this guy was now old, and so when the Scottish army entered England to be defeated at Worcester, he remained in Scotland, raising and training the reserve army. He was captured and initially imprisoned at Balgonie Castle before being shipped to our favorite, the Tower of London.
Yay.
Queen
Oh.
Christina of Sweden intervened, asking Cromwell to release her old friend.
The
Um,
Queen of Sweden intervened?
because
Okay.
he used to
Wow.
fight for them, so they're, I guess, buddies.
Sure.
And um, so he was returned to Balgonie via Sweden to thank the Queen. So, in spite of his active life, he did die in his own bed at Balgonie on the 4th of
I mean,
April,
that's a good
1661.
death. That's a good life and
Right?
a good death. Yeah.
He was a very busy guy.
Rather than at the
Um,
Tower of London where nobody died peacefully.
right.
Don't go
So
there to die.
some kind of notable progression. Obviously, the castle continued to go down through
Sure.
time from people to people, and from 1600s to now, that's a lot of people. Um,
Sure.
but so eventually, this Margaret Countess of Leven married the Honorable Francis Montgomery of Giffen, but he was a wastrel who bankrupted the Balgonie estates.
A
And this,
waste roll?
that's what they called him.
Listen,
I,
I need to start, like, describing boyfriends that way. Listen,
he
he was
was
a
a
waste roll.
wastrel. Take that with you and do as you will.
Like,
Um,
off you pop.
right. So, um, somewhere around the 1700s, an earl had the surrounding lands turned into 350 acres of parks and gardens,
Love it.
almost forming a perfect rectangle.
Oh, really?
So,
That's cool.
on the 6th of January, 1716, Rob Roy McGregor, who was a famous Scottish outlaw, they made a movie about him with oh my God, Liam Neeson, I think.
Ooh,
Um,
really?
mhm. What? So
Actually,
he
when you
was
said Rob Roy, I was like, why is that familiar? Okay,
because
go ahead.
there's a
Yeah.
movie called Rob Roy. So he was ransacking a different palace and learned that the this general was going to go up to use Balgonie as a garrison. So he decided to go up there first. He did walk into the castle unopposed with about 150 to 200 men. Um, and Rob Roy was a famous Scottish outlaw.
Yeah.
And they said that he drank all the wine.
I mean,
Yeah,
I'm already in love.
right.
Say less.
Um, All right. So by the end of the 18th century, the Earl of Leven was in financial difficulties. In 1800, the Earl established the Leven Iron Works, but this venture failed. In 1824, the eighth Earl sold Balgonie to Sir James Balfour for the astronomical sum of £109,000.
Wow,
Um,
okay. I mean, it's not 500 pence or whatever shillings that king gave.
right. Um, Sir James gave Balgonie to his second son, Charles Balfour. The Balfours bought Balgonie as an investment as the estate was capable of producing vast quantities of coal. Um,
Oh.
However, the castle was abandoned to fall into decay. By the 1840s, there were letters appearing in the Edinburgh newspapers concerned at the rate that Balgonie was deteriorating. Um,
Ugh.
the stone floors were concreted in 1912, and plans were drawn up to restore Balgonie. It was at this time that a human skeleton was discovered under the floor of the Great Hall.
Yes, it was. Hold on, I have that picture. I mean, it's not real, but
Oh, I
I
was
do
like,
have
"You have a picture?"
I have the picture. It's like a recreation. Hold on. Uh, girl, I find everything. Hang on.
Alright. The estate office was abandoned in the 50s and then followed 2 decades of vandalism, which destroyed the last of the 17th century plaster ceilings and the gatehouse. Oh, cool.
I believe this is where they found the skeleton, and then
Oh,
they
that's
now
neat.
they have like this nice little not
Not them skeleton.
not not yeah no not anatomically correct skeleton because that's I think one too many ribs than people have.
Mhm.
But yeah, here are some of like what it looks like today, and like this is like the iron door,
Yeah,
like
the
yeah,
restoration that they've been doing.
that they've done. Yeah.
Mhm. So
Um,
in 1911, the castle was sold to David Maxwell from Edinburgh. He carried out restoration to the tower. He also oversaw an archaeological excavation in the courtyard. One of the discoveries was the well. However, this was filled in again after the dig. The current owners bought Balgonie in 1985 and began the slow restoration process. So they deforested the ruins and cleared several hundred tons of rubble, taking care
mhm.
to preserve the usable stone. So the chapel was restored in 1989, and the 900th wedding took place in May 2007.
What is
The
the
great
family's name?
Oh, I don't know. You know what? I don't even think I wrote that down. The Great Hall was restored back to what it would have looked like in the Middle Ages. The aim is to restore the Hall House, East Range, and Gatehouse back to their former glory. Um, the castle was featured in the filming of Outlander, that series
Yes,
on
I saw
Netflix.
that in my research. I was like, I've
Mhm.
never seen that show, but
I've
I
seen it.
am aware of it. Yeah.
And the chapel was the inspiration for the Game of Thrones red wedding scene.
Mm.
Cool.
Have you
So,
seen Game of Thrones?
no, I tried to watch it, but there's too many people. I couldn't get into it. I
That's
was like,
fine.
"There's like 700 people, and I don't care
There
about
is
any
a
of
lot
them."
of characters, but oh my god, that red wedding,
So,
so good.
you can still, as far as I know, book it for weddings, and um, they do let people up there. I'm not sure how often though. Um,
Wow.
I got some conflicting information online, but go ahead and do your own research if you really want to go up there and check it out, or get married there. That sounds actually
I
fun.
mean, listen, I think on the 10th anniversary of the podcast, we should have a friendship wedding at Balgonie Castle and promise to be friends and podcasters forever.
If you're gonna take me on a
We
trip,
could have a commitment ceremony as podcaster hosts.
I mean, if you ask nice.
I mean, listen, I know what you like.
All right, so that's the history
I know how to
of
propose. That's
Balgonie.
cool. I really
So-
like that. That is really, really cool. 8,000 years.
Of
a-
people in that area, yeah.
Yeah,
Crazy,
that's
huh?
a very, very long time. Yeah, super crazy. Okay. Let's do the ghosties. Hang on here 1 second. Sit tight for us, folks. We'll be right back with my part. The ghosts of Balgonie Castle. Ooh. I don't know why I did that. Forgive me. I'm not editing it out, by the way. Sorry, guys. I didn't have my notes up. Okay. So on to the ghosts. My sources for this episode are riseupparanormal.com. What up, Ken? Mirror.co.uk, an article by Robert Fairnie and Bradley Jolly. They also are where the photo credit comes from. And then hauntedauckland.com, an article by Mark Wallbank, also where the photo credits come from. And then greatbritishghosttour.co.uk. So this castle has actually given, obviously it's so old. This castle has been called one of the most haunted castles in Scotland, and it's said to be home to about 11 ghosts. Now, that doesn't seem like a lot, but especially when you have, places like Transallegheny, or you have St. Albans that has, or is it St. Albans, or rumored, like some places have like 70, 80, 100. Winchester Mystery House, like 500 million. So it doesn't seem like a lot, but these ghosts are apparently, how do I want to describe it? They are very commonly seen, very commonly captured. And that I think kind of sets these hauntings aside from some of our, the other ghost stories that we in paranormal locations that we talk about, because these 11 ghosts are just like, hey, we're here for you, like, they were come take a picture of us kind of a situation.
They like to party.
Yeah, they like to party. They don't care if you capture them on film or on audio. They're like, we're here for you. So most of the hauntings occur in the Great Hall, which you just talked about. There are things like shadowy apparitions and disembodied voices speaking in muffled tones have been heard throughout that particular room. It is noteworthy, like you said, that during an excavation in 1912, a skeleton was found in the floor of the Great Hall, which is that photo that like is sort of, kind of a nod to that. I could not find, and I don't know if you did either, Laura, I could not find any further information about that skeleton, whether they identified who it was, they dated it, like anything. I couldn't find anything about that skeleton.
I couldn't find anything either.
Okay.
Not
in 1912, I'm sure there wasn't a Spirit Halloween where you could just buy a skeleton and throw it in the floor so that it's found in 1912. So I'm not really sure what, I don't know the end story of that skeleton, and I kind of need to know. I have a lot of questions. So if any of you guys who are fans of Balgonie Castle, also if we're saying that Balgonie wrong, let us know. Or if you're from Scotland, or who that body was and who it belonged to and how it died, like, tell us, because truly we have questions. But I couldn't find anything, and Laura apparently couldn't either. Now, however, there is the most reported sighting, one of the most famous spirits at Balgonie Castle, is that of Green Jeannie. Now, she is seen on one of the, she's been seen on one of the castle's ranges as far back as 1840s, like early 1840s, 1841, 42. There is a photograph of her form that had been taken during a wedding reception that was held there. You said one of 900 weddings, I think, Laura?
Yes, lots of
Was it
weddings.
900?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So one of these 900 weddings, Green Jeannie makes an appearance. And she has been seen quite often over the years by both guests of the Laird, which is when I asked you what the name of the family is that runs it now, I asked for a reason. And that reason is because it is the Morris family. Now, Laura, you know this, but a lot of our listeners may not know that one of my family names is Morris. And a cousin of mine, I actually wanted to like say when I started reading this, I was like, holy shit. A cousin of mine posted on Facebook a couple of weeks ago that he's been doing a lot of DNA research because our family we know does hail from Scotland, at least my grandmother's side. And she was a Morris. And he found that we are our family was very in has a lot of ties and deep roots in Scotland, being the Morris family. So when I was reading this and I was like, oh, the family that owns it now is called the Morris family. And now my cousin has said that like we have like these deep ties to even like Mary Queen of Scots and like the royalty of Scotland. So I thought it was really interesting. I'm like, oh my God, Laura, I told you I was royalty. Didn't believe me. And here I think it's true.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just saying. Anyway, so Mr. Morris, the Morris family.
Maybe it's Mr. Morris and the skeleton.
Maybe Mr. Morris was the skeleton. Oh no.
Maybe.
Hey. I think I'm royalty, and I'm gonna go ahead and put that in the show notes. So anyway, this Green Jeannie has been seen often in Balgonie Castle. Mr. Morris reports seeing her often walking between two rooms that are linked by a doorway in a left to right direction behind two barred windows, often stopping to glance at the courtyard from this castle window. Apparently, she's been described as wearing looking pea green in color, with her face hidden inside a hood. So
she's pea green. She's like a
like a pea
I was
green
thinking like the
ghost.
Hulk with like a little thing. Like
maybe she's wearing a hoodie. Maybe she's just sort of,
It's just I'm just the pea green really throws me off.
The pea green really kind of gets me. Yeah, but that's what most people describe her as looking. That's what she's called, Green Jeannie. So she appears pea green in color with her face hidden inside a hood. What's interesting, it's speculated that she might be a member of the Lundy family, but she's very much a resident in the castle to this day. People see her all the time. And what's interesting is that she, when she's walking from room to room, she always walks from left to right, never from right to left. And I'm not really sure. So with me, she always walks left to right, never right to left, but I don't know for the camera. I'm not really sure what that's doing. Which I think is interesting. That tells me she's a residual haunting. If she's constantly doing the same thing, she's always going in the same direction. I went into a lot of deep dives, Reddits and message like boards in Scotland and the UK. I haven't found anybody that has had any sort of intelligent interaction with this apparition. So it sounds to me like she's just kind of a residual and she just sort of walks. And that's what everybody says. She walks from left to right. She looks out the window into what was the courtyard, and then she just continues going. But she's one of the most seen spirits there, which I think is really great. The story goes that Green Jeannie is actually a woman named Mary, who was a young daughter of an early laird. Am I saying that right? Laird, Laird, Laird of Balgonie, who was courting a local lad despite disapproval from her family. So their preferred and more aristocratic candidate fatally stabbed the young upstart, but before he died, the local lad had enough energy to stab his attacker in return. So her two suitors were like, listen. And essentially they kind of killed each other. Not kind of.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they killed each other. Not kind of, but they did. So yeah, the one stabbed the one that was disapproved of, like the one that the family wanted her to marry, stabbed like the
The
low-hanging
other
fruit
one.
guy.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then but he ended up having enough energy to stab him back, and they both died. So Mary later stumbled across their bodies, and the article that I read said, much like in Shakespeare's Tempest, died immediately from shock. She like had a heart. She was so horrified. She died immediately from shock, and now she haunts Balgonie Castle alongside other spirits, including the ghost of a 17th century soldier. And I'm wondering if it might have been from like that era of, was it in the 17th century?
Mhm. Yeah,
When the
when the wars were going on and all
wars
that.
were going on. Yeah.
Mhm, and
So
he was still
him,
training guys and all that, yeah. There
yeah,
was a lot going on,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I was thinking. And then also the spirit of a dog,
Well,
which, I love a good dog, spirit living, I love a puppy. Um, So the 17th century soldier has actually been seen in both the courtyard and walking through the castle gateway,
mhm,
as well as another hooded figure seen in the same spot opening non-existent doors. So I'm wondering if they're in like an area where you said that there's some of the castle is in ruin.
mhm.
Maybe there were like doors there at the time, and they're trying to go through those. Um, there is an old man that is dressed in medieval clothing, appearing
Mhm.
in gray color, resembling Alexander Leslie. This guy has actually nope, words are hard. Been seen inside Mrs. Morris's bedroom,
Hmm.
standing at the foot of her bed.
Oh, no. Yeah,
Mm-mm.
I
Yeah.
did read that they have had, like, a lot of, um, experiences while living there, like,
Yeah,
being touched
like,
and breathed on and
oh, yes, yes,
mhm,
that's one that I've read, and I was like, "I don't love that." So standing at the foot of her bed, other reports include the sighting of a phantom dog, like I mentioned, and a disembodied head
mm-mm.
seen floating around the first floor hall. Just the head.
Mhm,
That I think is I have in all the places I've investigated, and I haven't been investigating for a very long time, like 5 years.
mhm,
But I've investigated a fair amount of places, some
mhm.
famous, some private residences. I have only seen one apparition, full-bodied apparition. But I think my goal is just a head. Like, I kinda wanna, like, if I see a floating head,
Or,
I will
like,
be like,
just
"I
a
can
leg.
die."
You know how you'll see,
Just
like, there's, like, just a foot that just, like, appears,
yes,
like, it just yeah, like, just a
just a
foot.
body part. Just a body part. Yeah, absolutely. If I were to see a floating head, I'd be like, "And now I retire. I've seen it all." So yes, you can see a disembodied head seen floating around the first floor hall. In addition, staff members have been, like you said, reported being touched by unseen figures while preparing for various castle events like weddings and things like that. There is um an organization called Edinburgh Live that says it is home to a number of spirits, Balgonie Castle, which will throw some unusual experiences, including the sound of mysterious voices, again, the sight of floating heads. Apparently now it's not just one head, it's multiple heads. Um and the feeling that you're being watched. I think Laura, you and I have had that feeling of being watched in some of the locations that we've been in. Um, the floating head is elusive to
No
us
floating
so
head.
far. Yeah. Of course,
It's
the
only a
famous
matter of
Green Lady
time.
ghost can
And a
apparently still
ghost
be
dog.
seen.
Like, I
And a
really
ghost dog. We need to
I'll
see a
take a
ghost
cat
dog.
or a goldfish or a parrot. I mean, I don't have to be picky. I really
A
would
pet, a
love
ghost pet.
mhm, mhm.
We actually do here in my house right now, we do actually have a ghost dog. I'm not sure who it is. It's not any one of like my former pets that I've had throughout my life. I'm not sure who this dog is, but um the dog will scratch to get outside like when we're inside, and I'll look and I'll get up to actually go let one of my dogs outside.
But it's
And
not your dog.
none of them have scratched to get on the door, but it's always like a pawing. I don't, every now and then I see like this dog like kind of like walk past me or just kind of run past me silently, and I'll think it's one of my dogs, and I'll look, and they're all three of my dogs are sacked out on the floor. So we do have a ghost dog here at my house. I'm not sure where he comes from or who he is. Like I said, it's not anyone. I mean, it might be one of my mom's old dogs, but I'm certainly not about to ask her. She hates this whole idea. So we have a ghost dog. Yeah, we have a ghost dog. He's very nice. I mean, every now and then he just wants in and out, and I don't know. So again, the famous Green Lady can still be seen roaming around the building to this day, often walking past the windows, again, just left to right, never right to left. Stuart and Kelly Morris, who currently own the castle, even claim they felt, like you said, someone touch and breathe on them. What do you think is the worst thing to have happen to you? Being touched by a ghost or breathed on?
The breathing. By far the breathing.
God. Dead breath? Ew. Breath at all. No. Audible phenomena include muffled voices, cold spots, and then also being touched by a cold hand. Now let's breathing and touched by a cold hand, which is worse?
It's always going to be breathing.
It's always going to be breathing. Okay. So yes, Balgonie Castle, one of the most haunted places in the UK, definitely one of the most haunted in Scotland. And Laura is now on our bucket list when we go do our little motorbike thing through Scotland. We've got to go to Balgonie Castle and stay there if we can, truly, I think.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I think they are kind of doing that too, actually. But yeah, so I'll tell you afterwards, but I might actually be going to Scotland maybe in like a few weeks.
As
opposed to my original destination because of
no, that is unacceptable. You go to your original destination because you and I plan to go to Scotland.
I know.
Okay, we have to go, guys. We hope you enjoyed the episode. We're about to have a fight.
We may or may not be here next week.
This fucking bitch. By the way, Laura, happy 5th anniversary of History of a Haunting. By the time this airs, we will have celebrated our 5-year anniversary of History of a Haunting, of which you are coming on to this December, your 4th year with the podcast.
Holy shit.
Can you believe that?
What have I been doing with my life? All right. It's time for me to reflect.
You better be taking my ass to Scotland or shit is going to be... I'm going to fucking hide a skeleton in your floors. We're not getting married at Balgonie anymore. Fuck you. Anyway, bye guys. We love you. Please stay tuned for Wednesday, my short story. We're actually getting ready to record that next, and I'm super excited about it because it's fucking creepy and weird. To that, we say, what do we say, Laura? Stay safe out there. Because you never know who.
Or what? Green Ghost.
Green Ghost is walking left to right only past your windows. Creepy. Gross. That was gross. Bye, guys. We'll see you next week. We have a brand new episode, and I promise I will get the overlays together for that one. We love you. Bye.
Bye.